Is your life savings wrapped up in your 401k? Are you worried you're paying too much in fees? Ask for Matt. Matt Westbury of Premier Investments can help you with your 401k planning. Matt's a local guy who will sit down and talk with you about what you want from your retirement and give you simple answers you won't find on a confusing 401k website or at an 800 number. Go to askformatt.com. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Wake up. It's time for Primal Scream.
Yeah. You're recording. You better fucking be
All
ready.
right. Well, I'm ready.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Primal Scream. I'm Matt.
I am supposedly Todd.
And obviously I put our sponsors in here already, so we don't have to worry about that. We don't need to talk about it. But Todd, let's talk about some other things.
You said you had some things that were weighing on your mind or something that was really important to you. So
Right. And today's podcast is going to seem a little bit different because
it's short as fuck.
It's going to be short as fuck. But we are working with the new Wirecast system, and we're just getting all the bugs out, and this is one of those trials type things. So
I think we need an exterminator. That's what I think.
An exterminator?
Get the bugs out. I think we need an exterminator.
Oh, look at that. Psh.
I wasn't trying to be fucking funny.
You know what we need? We need Dan. We need Dan to come over. He's a smart fella.
Dan could probably... That's the thing is, like I said, the gentleman who helped us set up this Wirecast and get this incredible piece of machinery to my left here came in yesterday and really just knocked shit out of the box without much effort because he knows what he's doing.
He knows where to look and what things mean.
And I only get frustrated not because I don't have the knowledge or all that kind of shit. I get frustrated because I just wish things would function a little bit easier. You didn't, like you said, you don't have to go in and fine tune every little teeny thing, so that when I click a button and something plays, when it's done playing, it's done playing.
Right. Right. I totally agree. Okay. But I was telling you earlier that some of the things that drive me crazy lately, personally, something's been going on with my family. My folks, like everybody else's folks, are getting older, and they are in this workplace. They're in a workplace where life is just it's changing.
Sure.
They can't keep up the standards to which everybody's being held to nowadays.
Liability-wise, things like that.
Yeah, and my father and I, he's been working at this factory for 20 years now, over 20 years. I started there in 94. I started there at the end of 93, and I worked there for 15 years.
That was right before I met you, wasn't it?
That was right before, yeah.
Because you weren't at my wedding.
No.
My first one, so.
No. And we just walked in and we were fine. Now, the atmosphere at that place is so much different now. Now you have to pass a physical agility test. Why the fuck do you have to pass a physical agility test?
Well, I think the physical agility tests are simply so that people know that you're physically capable. You're not diminished somehow, for lack of a better word. You can pick things up, you can move around, you don't have a bunch of aches and pains, or if you do, you hide it well enough, but you can still function pretty regular. I think that's what those tests are for. I think they are kind of like a litmus test to see, are you just like everybody else and can just Joe Schmo can come in here and haul shit and take care of things, and you can follow directions and shit like that. That's what I think that those kind of tests are for, not to be kind of like shitty.
Okay, well,
that's just my opinion.
But the thing is, that's not the way it was before. When you get a job somewhere and you agree to work there, if that's the way it's set up to begin with, like my job that I've been at for 6 years, I had to pass a physical agility test because my job is physically demanding. I have to be able to run. I have to be able to.
I have an important question. Do you want a beer? Or are you good with your soft drink?
You know what? We're going to talk for at least an hour, so why don't I have a beer?
Okay. Go ahead. Agility test.
But I came into that knowing that was part of the deal for me to be employed there. That's what I had to do. So I was okay with that. You're right in front of my camera. I'm seeing nothing but your ass. Ladies, that's why 20% of our viewers are ladies right there. because of Todd's rear end. Hey, okay. Anyway, let me just get through this because what has happened is I've seen the progression that my father has gone through. When I was very young, the epitome of work ethic was my father.
And he's a pretty healthy dude too, right? Wasn't he physically kind of a strong guy?
Yeah, I mean, you picture me with hair, and that's my father when I was
Your
young.
dad's not near as big as you are.
But he was a monster. He was a monster back in the day.
Okay.
So I always grew up just kind of like when I thought of power, when I thought of work ethic, when I thought of what it is to be an alpha male type of guy, that was my dad. Well, now my dad is, into his 60s. And he has worked his ass off for so many years. Like I said, he started working there in '94. Shortly after I started working there, he started working there. And this place there's always been a plethora of overtime that you could work, and it's just wore him down to nothing. It has literally worn him down to nothing. Is
he a workaholic in that sense? Then he just likes working all the time, and so when they say, "Hey, we have overtime, you want it?" He just went after it all the time, or what do you? I mean, did he take time off?
Sometimes it was like that, but a lot of times it was. You don't know, like you want like 1 day of overtime maybe on your paycheck. So he would say, "Yeah, I agreed." He'd put in his little thing. I mean, every place is different when you're volunteering to work overtime. So he might ask for 1 day of overtime, but then he gets forced for 3 days.
Oh.
And sometimes you're very energetic when you're younger, so you're taking all the overtime that you can and you feel good about it. But then you get into your older years and you sustain an injury. And now maybe you don't want to work the overtime. But now you're getting forced. You have no action other than to work the overtime.
Right.
So now I'm seeing my father where he used to be just this not unstoppable force, this working force. Now he is at this point in his life where his whole life has been about work. His whole life has been about...
I mean, what are his hobbies? What's he like to do outside of work?
That's it. There is no hobbies. His whole life. When I say his whole life, I mean it. I talked to him today. He had sustained an injury. He's had 2 shoulder surgeries, which has taken him out of work and had the surgery and recuperated and stuff like that. But he's also hurt his back recently. And as you know, Todd, when you hurt your back, it takes a long time. You're very ginger.
Well, the hard part about a back injury for sure is you do everything. It's like, I mean, part of me feel this is not fair if you use your arms a lot in your job, but if you walking around, if you hurt a leg, walking around is super difficult, and we all have to do it. It's like if you crack a rib or bruise a rib, breathing is super horrible, but guess what? We all have to do it. So that's the thing with your back is you have to sit around all the time. You really can't do very much, and it's hard to become immobile.
Right. Yeah. So he came over today to tell me that not that he failed his agility test, because he was supposed to go back to work yesterday to get this agility test done. And I said, "So how'd it go?" He was really nervous about it. And he said, "Well, I walked in and the doctor goes, 'Just looking at you, there's no way I'm giving you this agility test.'"
Wow. What did he see that made him think that he couldn't even do it?
My father is walking around like an 80-year-old man.
He's like just like shuffling in, hunched shoulders, like physically in pain, kind of like walking around.
He goes. He said as he walked into my house this morning, he goes, "Hey, look at me. Tell me if I look different to you." And he shuffles across my living room, and I'm like, "Yeah, you look like you're in fucking pain, dude."
Right.
I probably shouldn't call my father dude, but he looked like in really bad shape. And he said, the doctor just looked at me and goes, "There's no way I'm giving you this test. There's no way you could pass it. There's no way I'm letting you do this." Here's the rub.
I like a good rub.
Yes, good rub is excellent. Here's the rub. So he can't go back to work unless he does the agility. The doctors are putting him on pain medication so that it basically numbs whatever is wrong with him. It just numbs the pain. They won't give him surgery. They won't say, okay, this is the problem and this is how you would solve it. They're basically saying, I have no fucking idea why you have this pain, but you have the pain, so let me give you pain meds
to counteract the pain.
And we're going to, throw you back into the work cycle. And, I was talking to my father. I said, how would you know if you sustained an injury at work if you're on pain meds?
Well, I mean, pain meds. I guess
if you're
I'm
doped
not.
up,
I'm not a doctor. You're right. If I'm not a doctor, and you hear about football players back in the day when they would get hurt and they'd go off the sidelines, get a big shot, and they'd go back in and play without any pain and get hurt even worse, kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to imagine that you could nowadays. If your dad went back to work on pain meds and then hurt his shoulder again, I think that injury would come through the pain meds, so to speak, like something's up, something's off. But at the same time, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'm assuming that it's hard for me to imagine that you would be able to get hurt and be like, oh, I'm fine. I think you would know. Huh?
I don't know. I mean, because tiny little injuries, something that you do today, not so bad. I didn't even notice it. I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm like, fuck, I can't hardly walk.
Well, think about working out.
What'd you do?
Think about working out. My legs are sore today from the workout I did yesterday morning. Right?
Yeah, and some people don't feel it the worst until like 2 or 3 days later.
Yeah.
So it just bothers me.
What bothers you? Your dad's getting older and watching him get older like that, or
all of it? All of it bothers me. It bothers me to see this mountain of a man, being reduced to nothing. That thing bothers me. It bothers me that I don't feel the way the workplace is treating older people and people with injuries.
How would you like them to treat your dad? What could be different than they're doing right now? What would you? I mean, ultimately, what do you want to see them do for him?
Ultimately, what I want is when he has a question about, okay, am I on light duty or am I on light duty? Am I on short-term disability? Does this transfer over to long-term disability?
Right.
And when the company goes, well, that falls into just certain circumstances. Well, is my fucking circumstance a circumstance that it would fall into?
Right.
I need fucking answers, man. I'm towards the end of my career. I'm going to be retiring within the next few years, or this is going to be it. Or I'm going to retire early, and maybe I don't want to retire early. So, I mean, that bothers me.
Well, and the time in with the company isn't what it used to be.
Right.
I know my mother-in-law died of complications from, cancer and Parkinson's and things like that. But the place she worked at, she was a secretary, and she'd been over 10 years, I think. And as she got sicker and sicker, they just kind of like faded away. And, you put 10 years of your life in here, but there's not much, what can they do for you? Where back in, I don't know, it just seems like back in the day when you worked at a car company, you got a great pension, you got good health care, and if you got hurt on the job or things went bad, they kind of hooked you up. I don't know, maybe I don't know how they worked back then, but I mean, part of the deal is I think things are just different. Things are so money driven now. They say things couldn't happen the way they used to be because you can't afford to have a pension like that for people. Things aren't selling like they used to, and you have so many people who have pensions and health care now, and we're all paying for it because they were, from a time kind of that's gone now, it seems like. So I don't know if the mentality is the same, and I think I heard something the other day on the radio where, people used to be really worried about governments controlling things, and now that corporations are controlling things, people forget that there are human beings running those as well. And power corrupts no matter what level you're at and what job you're at. If you're a shitty principal of a school, I'm sure you can be a tyrant of a principal. I'm sure if you're a shitty manager, you can run a come and go really shitty too. I don't know. I just think you get human beings in positions of power, and that's kind of what happens. Is we want to control everything. I'm not sure this mic is picking up anything. Do you see this little bubble? It's just like barely. Bup, bup, bup. Now you talk.
Bup, 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 bup.
Oh, we're the same.
What? We are the same, right?
Never mind. Go ahead.
Well, I'm assuming that we're about the same.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right. You're good. Yeah, so I mean, is that what you're thinking? You just feel like that corporations that whose workers make up. I mean, that's the thing that I think I go back to is workers make up what is a corporation. Without the people running the corporation,
there is no corporation.
Doesn't exist.
Right.
So it's kind of like people have made this division, this divisive thing to happen because I don't know why they would do that when it takes everybody involved. You need to have management. You need to have people that are running things from the top, and you need to have people who are working as well. I mean, that's why everybody's pissed off. Well, you can't pay McDonald's workers $15 an hour. Jesus, the whole thing will go under. Well, if you don't have any workers, you won't have a McDonald's to go to.
Really, McDonald's would go under because you have McDonald's everywhere.
But if you don't have
and you have
anybody
people
at that
making-
counter, then it's not going to work.
Right, but if you just pay them more, you don't necessarily have to raise the prices of your hamburgers. What you're saying is, I'm going to be a decent human being, and I'm going to pay my workers an excellent wage, and I'm going to take care of them because they've worked for me in a wonderful way, and without them, I wouldn't have had a product.
Right.
And I'm going to take care of them even when they're sick, so they have excellent health care. And because I'm doing all that, maybe I can't buy my 30th fucking automobile. Maybe I can't have 7 houses.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
what you. I mean, that's the trade-off. The trade-off is the 1%, the people that are in control of these huge mega corporations.
And you-
All they have to do is scale back, but here's the thing: they don't understand it. They can't. The world that they see is not the world that I see. It's not the world that a lower class citizen.
But how about a
sees.
middle class guy who wants to get to that position? So he's not going to go against the ideals that are kind of supporting wanting to be a big CEO someday, and he's not going to go against, or she's not going to go against the idea of, oh yeah, workers don't need to have that kind of pay because the people on the top who are what matter, and to get to the top you have to get good schooling and go through all these steps, and I did all those steps, and so I don't want to be.
Well, even if you had the best of intentions, even if the CEO decided, you know what, I'm going to make a unilateral decision. This is what's happening. We're going to pay people better. There are laws in place that prevent him from screwing over stockholders and how much stockholders are making. If he were to make a decision, all of a sudden the stockholders are making less money because that money that they would normally make is now going towards the employees, they can sue the CEO. That's a law.
And they can sue the CEO for what?
For making decisions that are adverse to them making money, the stockholders.
Oh, so it puts CEOs in a position of that's their main goal all the time because otherwise they could be sued.
It's got to be better. I got to
And
make
you better
more
give
profit.
me a golden
I have to make
parachute
more
that
profit.
if I do get fired, then I want a golden parachute to make sure that I'm covered. So see the bars when I'm talking?
I no, I can't see the.
Okay, you're talking. See the little teeny bars bouncing?
Yeah, I can see those.
See yours bouncing?
Yeah.
Now your camera. Now on my mic. My mic is working like normal. Look at your mic. Go ahead, talk.
All right, I'll talk.
So the sound is picking up on our mics on your camera shot,
Okay.
and I believe they're being picked up by the microphone.
Like the life cam on the other one?
I think so.
All right. Well,
I'm not for sure, but
in
that's
order-
okay. I'm just curious.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're using the new Wirecast system. We're trying to figure everything out. But
So
here's
things
the
sound a little odd, that's
here's the
why.
thing, Todd. Here's
Yes,
the thing.
I'm listening.
We are recording on the Zoom, correct?
Yeah.
So what
Yeah, we
what I can still do is bring in the audio file from the Zoom, and I can still do some editing and stuff like that in Premiere Pro. The big difference, what we're doing is, with Wirecast, we can it's a video switcher back and forth. It can play. We can create a playlist once we really
Fucking figure out what-
understand. Yeah, once we really understand, we got all the bugs worked out of it, and we know what the fuck we're doing. We can do that. But so that takes a lot of post-production to do in Premiere Pro, is to bring in all these different video sources and link up their audio, and so that I can cut back and forth. So if we had a guest right now and we had the other camera on them, I wouldn't have to do that all in Premiere Pro. Everything is being cut and sliced
Right now.
right now. It would.
It's
still,
just going to save time exponentially down the road.
Sure, but even today, with all of the mess ups or whatever today, I can still pull in the recorded audio from the Zoom
And balance everything out.
and apply that to the video.
Awesome. Great. I'm excited.
And I'm sure that's
okay.
what we're
So
gonna
I didn't mean
do.
to distract you. So how are you? So how are we going to pull this back to your dad?
Well, I have one more thing that bothers me.
Go ahead.
The last thing, probably the most poignant thing that bothers me the most, is that I'm finally having to deal with the issue of death in my
For your
family.
dad?
In my family.
Okay.
My grandmother passed away. It's really the only person in my family that has passed away, and I wasn't extremely close to my grandmother. But I have a very large family, and I mean, luckily, nobody really has passed away that I've really been super close to.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But seeing my father be as frail as he is now, I start thinking more along the lines of how many years do you have left, buddy?
Mortality kind of stuff.
Yeah, the mortality. I've never really had to think about that before with my father. And
Well, and it's your dad too.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of a big deal.
So when he was over today, we've had a lot of heart-to-hearts lately. And today in particular, I go, so what are you nervous about retiring or not passing the physical agility because financially it's going to be really hard? He said no. My wife now is extremely great with money. She can really tighten the purse strings, and we could get by, no problem. I said, are you okay? So if you're not worried about it financially, are you worried? So and then I started thinking about mentally.
So what are you worried about? Yeah.
So what are you worried about? Are you worried? And all of these things he's worried about now. Because I asked him, are you worried that everyone that you enjoy and hang out with, give a hard time to, joke with, friends, they're all associated with this job.
Sure.
They're all there. And if you retire, they're gone.
That would be freaky.
Yeah, fuck yeah, it'd be freaky.
Well,
And
it'd be freaky if you didn't have friends outside of work.
And he doesn't.
Huh. God, that seems so odd. I mean, and you and I came into this, this social media world that we now is a norm for just about for everybody in the world.
Hey, I know you like looking at me, but people like to look at you too, Todd.
Oh, I apologize. God damn, it's hard to get used to.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that we're now in a society that is socially linked everywhere. I mean, everywhere. You know, if I want, like today, I told you I wanted to find Stephen Colbert and I wanted to send him a message, so I tweeted him.
Yeah.
You know, I just got online, I Googled it on our Twitter account, and I sent him a tweet to come on the podcast, before his show starts. And I mean, it's incredible in one hand because who could ever have that kind of accessibility to a celebrity, I guess, or a person like that.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're all connected. It's so difficult for me not to think that you couldn't be connected if you chose to. And I know people talk about the isolation of social media and things like that, but to me, that's more of a personality, individual case, because I think that nowadays it's almost impossible not to be connected with people somehow, and it's hard for me to imagine being at a job and that's it. So when I left my job, I went home. So if I was single, I went home, I was by myself.
Okay.
Or if I'm at a job and then when I have a family and when I go home, all I do is talk to my wife and my kids and that's it. There's nobody else. That just sounds kind of strange to me.
Well, to you, I'm sure it does because you're not that person. But the other strange thing is he has no fucking hobbies.
What do you think would be what's a good hobby for him? What do you think is a great hobby for your dad?
My dad knows a lot about building houses. And he is good about large, rough construction.
Could he be like a big general manager kind of guy?
No, he really sucks at He's like myself. I really sucked as being a supervisor. I just the games, the politics.
I guess part of me thinks that
he's terrible at that also.
So if he's good at building and he has 10 guys around him and hey, you're on the west wall and you're on you're getting 2x4s here and I want you nailing this wall together and guiding everybody to do the things they need to do. He's not good at that?
No.
Oh.
No, he's not.
So then
how is he
good at that job?
No, he used to be really good at building houses.
Oh, so just being a straight up builder.
Just a straight up builder. He used to be really good at visualizing something and saying or not even necessarily visualizing it. I could say, because I worked construction with him for a while, so we kind of are on the same type of lingo level.
Sure. Yeah.
I can describe to him, hey, Dad, by the way, I need to take down this wall. It's not a supporting structured wall. I need to take that down. What I want to do is I want to build this type of a wall with this type of an angle. And he can see it in his head structurally. and know, okay, we're going to need so many 2x4s and so much sheetrock and all the different. He has like a material list.
That's pretty cool.
Blow up in his head. Yeah,
That's
he sees
impressive.
that stuff. So he's good that way. So when I asked him, so are you nervous about your friends? And he said yes. And I said, oh, are you worried about not having any hobbies? And he said, well, that's really why I wanted to buy another house. He lives in a condo right now with my stepmother. And
He's always got to have a project. Is that what you're trying to say?
he is a lot like me where we had to have projects. But here's the difference. And this is what shocked me, what he said to me today. He said, you know what? I'm not afraid of doing things that I already know. He goes, you and I are a lot alike in this capacity. And I said, well,
That's
what do
for
you
damn
mean?
sure.
He goes, well, we're a lot alike, but we're a little bit different. He goes, I'm not afraid of doing work in the things that I know. You're not afraid to go out and do work in things you don't know and learn about them and expand and go out of, he didn't use the word comfort zone because I don't even know if my dad knows that term, comfort zone.
But you're talking like maybe a piece of technology. You like, oh, hey, I'll figure that out.
Yeah, I don't
Gotcha.
mind. I like exploring things. I
Sure.
like being surprised by new technology and new environments and meeting new people. And like just the other day, I got this new camera, and I'm really fascinated about just becoming an expert at that camera, at the piece of device or piece of machinery. My father is like, I know X, Y, and Z. So if I have a hobby, it has to fall within X, Y, and Z. If it doesn't fall within X, Y, and Z, I'm not doing it.
Huh.
I'm not doing it, dude. So he was frustrated about his level of medical care that he's received,
Right.
and he goes, "I'm gonna tell the doctor that, since you guys aren't really fixing me and you're just drugging me, I'm gonna go to a chiropractor." And I said, I go, great. Do you have a chiropractor? He goes, yeah, I do. He works over here. And I go, if you haven't made an appointment yet and you're not locked in, I have a great chiropractor.
Yeah,
His
for
wife
sure.
is amazing. They loosen you up. They give you some massage. And, they really are gentle and they really care
Yeah.
about their people that they're helping. And I said, please go there. He goes, oh, yeah, okay, I'll go there. And
Yeah, and Kent was on the podcast.
yeah, Kent Miskimmons was on. Yep. He talked about Ironman, Arizona, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. So River Valley Chiropractic is where Kent works. Anyway, he was okay with that. And I'm watching my father move around. He's so tight. He's so in so much pain and in such a weird angle. And I said, Dad, I know a wonderful person named LeVar Davis Kidd. And LD. And I think he would be really good. He teaches yoga. And my dad immediately.
Oh, shit.
Immediately.
Is that not 1, 2, or 3 XYZ?
Yeah, it's not in it's not in the X, Y, or Z. It's not in that at all. So I said, Dad, please, it's just about stretching, and this guy is an expert in it.
It's just, and that's a good way to put it. It's just about stretching.
stretching.
And really strengthening at some point. So that's a good idea.
So putting yourself in positions to make you looser, more limber, a little bit stronger, because sitting down in a fucking chair. He's been sitting in a recliner for months and months and months.
Oh my God,
not
that's
doing
horrible.
shit. He just watches westerns.
Is he still smoking?
He's still smoking, for sure. I can't believe he's still ticking. To be honest,
Really? Well, he's
he-
a tough dude.
he is a tough dude. But there's a lot of tough people that succumb to cancer, lung cancer, and all that stuff. But there hasn't. Every time he goes in for a physical, he's like, "Yeah, healthy as a horse."
How can that be when he's a smoker? I mean, that's what I keep saying to myself.
Yeah, how?
You hear about people saying, oh wait, your capillaries, they stop, they don't work very well and things like that when you're an avid smoker. I shouldn't say avid, a consistent smoker.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that your dad's just doing just fine, relatively.
Isn't that fucking weird?
It's really strange.
It's so
Well, but
fucking
I mean,
But then again, look at me and all the Twinkies and ho-hos and ding-dongs that I eat.
you don't eat.
We're a
Twinkies.
little bit of an anomaly. I should be 700 pounds.
I should be too. Absolutely. I mean, my saving grace is doing some physical activity each week, I think.
Oh my gosh.
So.
Oh, hey. So Todd, how long have we been going for right now?
On the dot, 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Now, yeah.
Okay. How are you doing over there? Is it weird having a conversation?
It's fucking horrible.
It is horrible.
It is horrible. Yeah, this won't be happening again. It won't be. I don't like not being. I mean, I can look at you on the screen.
Right.
Like
when I
right
start
now.
talking, you can
Yes,
look at
I
it
can
right
click
now.
back to you.
Right?
But now I'm looking at the back of my own head. It's fantastic.
So it is difficult to have a conversation this way. How in the
Yes.
world are we going to have? How are we going to work this so that you're messing with it on the tablet?
We have
And
to charge the fucking tablet. That's it.
Yeah, but are you going to be able to? I'm not going to be able to see what's on the exit screen, so I can't be like, "Hey, Todd, by the way, you might want to switch."
Right. Yeah. You'll have to get to the point where you trust me, and I understand the need to be concerned about that. But I will. I think I'll get better at it.
I
So.
apologize. What are some of the? We'll transition. We'll get out of this. I mean, it's just the medical industry.
Well,
and,
you know,
and
the
getting
hard, I think
older, it's just tough.
the real part that's tough, I think, is the morality part of it. You've been talking about. I mean, it's watching your dad.
Morality or mortality?
Mortality.
Okay, mortality.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, like my dad fell 6 or 8 months ago climbing something when he shouldn't have been, and literally shattered his wrist. Had to have pretty invasive surgery, plates, screws, rods, that kind of shit. Banged up his knee. If he had fallen a different way, it probably would have killed him. Probably would have hit his head and killed him. And my sister said things to me like, well, we've got to sit down, me and you and my brother, we've got to sit down and talk about what we're going to do. And I was like, you're not going to stop this guy. You're not going to. His wife's, a handful of years older than I am. Wonderful lady. She's a young little sprite herself, and so she's going to be just fine. She'll take care of him. But telling the guy, hey, don't go do this, or hey, don't go do that. You're just barking up the wrong tree. The guy is going to be active all the time. Now, the idea though is to get him really focused on the activities that he can do that won't kill him,
Right.
and that way we can be we'll be better off.
So, but yeah, and those are the hobbies.
Those are the hobbies.
Those are
and he's
those
got
things
those. He's got his hobbies. So
thank God for that. That is the one big thing between my father and I. When I get to that age, and I retire, it's gonna be like, oh, game on. The only worry is my wife's gonna be like, we don't have all the money. We are on a fixed income. You can't do.
If you don't want to
everything
take your heart medicine, Matt, go ahead. Buy that thing.
Hey, can I talk at all about the exciting stuff where we might be moving? Can I say that at all? Do you want me to? No.
Why do you keep doing that?
Am I jinxing it?
You're not jinxing it, but I mean, it's like having the conversation. You don't want to talk about it till it's done.
All right. It's kind of like it's kind of like a
I'm
girl.
excited too. I'm just saying.
You know what I feel like? I feel like that girl who just got knocked up. I'm only like
on purpose.
2 weeks along, and I want to tell everybody in the world.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Wait a little while. Let it.
20 weeks. That's what they said.
20 weeks. Wait 20 weeks.
The bad part is our environment's so rough right now, whether it's stress in a woman's life or stress in people's lives, period, or it's, you live in a shitty, horribly environmental damaged area, and so your body's full of toxins and shit, and women have miscarriages all the time now. All the time. And probably for good reason. There's probably something really fucked up, and so you shouldn't say anything to anybody until that baby is really rolling.
Can I at least say that our current studio space is not ideal?
Yeah. I'm okay. I'm okay right now. I'm okay temperature wise, to be honest.
Yeah, to be honest.
But you
right
throw 6 lights in here and a green screen and a big sweaty dude and the 3 of us in here together, it's gonna be uncomfortable.
Yeah. You know what? You got a point there. Right now, I feel temperature-wise fine.
Because we're not moving except our mouths.
Because we're not moving. Right.
We're not moving around.
Right.
We're not doing stuff. If you and I went up and down those stairs a couple times out there and came in here and sat down, we'd be fucking hot as shit.
So let me give some advice to people who are looking for studio space. If you're somebody who wants to record something and you're just really excited, you're like, oh my God, finally, I have enough money, I have enough sponsors, I can move out of my basement or out of our garage and we can go someplace. Well, let me just give you some advice.
Buy a 15 by 15 phone box and put it in the street. See if that sounds good.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Okay, this is the advice. Really ask who your neighbors are. Really understand who your neighbors are, because when I came and looked at this space, there was no work being done.
Wasn't that funny? We
No-
were so
nothing-
focused on one of our neighbors
Right.
that we completely neglected
The
even
other one.
knowing the
The
other
other one.
neighbor.
Right.
Isn't that weird?
It is weird.
And God bless Chuck. I mean, I honestly, when he asked us to be in this space or was wanting us to be a neighbor of his, I was excited. I mean, I still like this space, but I'm just getting really fucking annoyed, at the heat. I'm getting really annoyed at the noise, and I don't know. I just, you know what? And I'm probably not even that annoyed. I'm probably, 20% annoyed and probably just 80% just disappointed. I was just
Sure.
looking forward to be done. Like I said yesterday, I was just looking forward to just kind of being in our spot, chilling, and being done. And now we're thinking about possibly moving again. I'm just like, motherfucker, I want to stop transitioning. I want to stop transitioning, and I want to be solid somewhere. So when we do talk to these people, and if the move does happen and we do find the space, I want to get a written verbal commitment. You can be in this space, you can do these things, and you don't have to go anywhere for a year. Done. Yes.
Done
and I can
deal.
say, okay, awesome. We're here to
set.
help. We're here to help you guys out. If you don't need our help, leave us the fuck alone, and we'll all rock and roll together.
Yeah. And then at least when we're learning new software, we won't be tripping over wires because
Yeah, we could be in the same space together because you're like, two heads are better than one. And I was like, I can't fucking wedge my
can't-
big ass body in there with you. This little space right here is only so big.
right. Now, I'm not going to name the place, but I can say that the place is almost like an industrial loft. How many square feet? Like 5,000 or 50,000?
5,000.
5,000 square feet,
That's big.
which is huge, but it's not completely finished, which is why it was said maybe you guys want to look into it.
Yeah.
So can you imagine that? 5,000 square feet.
I'm excited at the idea, and part of me even thinks that large square footage, if we can actually have a studio in there and we can kind of cordon off, a little space for ourselves, break off a little piece just for our production stuff and for the podcasting. Who's to say that in the next 2 to 3 years, if not 5 years, they will probably build out that entire space. Maybe we're at a position where we can have part of it.
Yeah.
Like really, maybe part of it can be our studio because we've been there a while and we've made enough money or are making enough money or they've built it out in a way that we can partner with them and we make it all work. Who knows? I just think of the partnership with them. I'm as excited about the partnership with them as I am about possibly having the space, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. I think we have really... When they showed me the things that they want to do with the Nubo area that they haven't really made public yet, I was just flabbergasted. Just absolutely astounded at the level that they're trying to build this stuff, in this area out to. The possibilities are pretty endless around here, So I get excited about the magic of the Nubo area and the creativity and Steve Shriver and Chuck Kavanaugh and all those people. But when I see what people who have fucking serious money are talking to the state about what they want to do with this area and what they want to make it into, you're like, holy shit, can I tag on to that ride? That is impressive.
Can I ride your shirt?
Yeah, grab your shirt
coattails?
tails. Only because it just looks exciting and fun. It's not like, oh shit, I can make a bunch of fucking money. I don't know that. But to know that we have a really awesome area down here that's, really good for kids. There's, jungle gyms and parks and easy access with bike trails and shit like that would just be wonderful down here.
Yeah,
And it's getting there.
the idea that the guy, who was it exactly that presented the idea? Was it Dave?
No.
Eric?
I don't know. We
Okay.
presented the idea where,
About how they wanted to transition the area.
oh, it's a bunch of people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just to think that you could have just the tiniest little piece to play in that.
Mm-hmm.
So 20 years from now, your children are fully grown, and you can say, I even worked with or I helped produce some video for this person who was an integral part
Right.
of creating this, and
Yeah. Well, and I think Kent Stock, he's a pretty popular guy here in Iowa. He always his quote or his kind of like tagline is, "How do you want to be remembered? You know, how are you going to be remembered in this world?" And well, you and I talked about that for this podcast, just having a recorded documentation of what the world was like when we were our kids' age, and they come up and they listen to these things and go, "Oh God, my dad was really fucked up," or whatever. But that was what it was. Was what are we leaving behind? You know,
Right,
and we
and-
hope that we're leaving something behind by doing this.
And
But
yeah,
imagine
these podcasts are it.
imagine this partnering up with another group that's making huge, cultural changes in this area, and we get to be part of that. Would be, like you said, it would be really neat just to have a little teeny piece of that. It's pretty cool.
yeah. So anyway, that's
Well, I'm sorry about your dad, dude. That sucks.
yeah.
That's kind of a bummer.
It is kind of a bummer, but how and I talked to him also about how he has never placed himself into a position of vulnerability
Ooh.
to where he absolutely has to grow as a person. I said, when you and mom got a divorce, it's like you immediately latched on to somebody else to help you. Like you were along for their ride in life.
Sure.
And I
You
said,
weren't your own person, kind of.
yeah, and my mom has been solo. She's been playing it solo. I mean, she's met people and she's dated some people, but for the most part, she's really learned who she is and what makes her happy. And if she wants to go out on a Harley ride, now this was a few years ago. She just
Does
recently.
she still have it?
No, she recently sold
Oh,
it.
she got rid of it.
Yeah.
I felt bad for her, but that whole car situation where that car went around her
Yeah.
when she was making a right-hand turn and they went around her right side, I'm like, people are fucking assholes.
Yeah. Pretty glad that she sold that thing.
All right.
But
Now
I mean,
you know how our wives feel. Is what you're trying to say?
yeah, probably.
Because I still want a motorcycle.
Sure. Yeah, and I do too. I wouldn't mind that.
Once in a while.
Yeah, once in a while.
Two down to the studio. What's so bad about that?
Maybe you could play the electric bike.
Oh
Maybe you
no,
could get-
she
She was all about
she's
that.
already highly pushing the electric bike.
Really?
The electric bicycle. Yeah. And
Why
I'm
is
like,
she all about that, but she's not about the motorcycle?
I don't know, because I guess you can go over 35 on a motorcycle. Because I want it for the same thing. I would love to be able to just hop on a motorcycle and come down here to the studio. My house is just 10 minutes away. It's on side streets, 2nd Avenue and Cedar Rapids, which is really quiet before you get downtown. Not a lot of cars. I'm a pretty safe driver, I would assume. Or when I have been on motorcycles, I'm very conscious that nobody fucking cares and nobody sees you. And so I'm really hypersensitive. I don't do stupid shit on it. And so I'm like, $5,000 nowadays can get you a pretty decent motorcycle. And to put that into a little electric bicycle, I'm just kind of like, well, she hasn't played the environmental card yet, which would really probably get me.
that would be the end of you. Like, I
That'd be-
can't
all right,
argue with that.
Fine, I'll get the
Can't-
electric bicycle.
Who's that 200 and some pound
Yeah.
dude on a tiny little
He
bicycle?
looks like a bear on a bicycle in a circus. Right. He's just not hairy enough.
Yeah. At what point do you start living for you and you stop living for? Is it selfish? Is it because I think some people would say this. I think some people would say it's a fucking. Of course, it's a selfish thing to live for yourself and not for your kids and not for your wife and your family.
But don't you want to be with somebody who is themselves? I guess
Being yourself and living life, I think, are two different things. Don't you think?
No, I think you can live your life and be yourself, and those two things inherently should work together. I don't have to take away from anything else to do the things that I want to do, hopefully. It's like you have friends who say, I don't want to have kids yet because we still do so much stuff that's active, and I don't want to have a kid kind of weigh me down. Well, when my kids were babies, I fucking threw them on my back, and we went hiking at the Palisades Park. When they started as toddlers, we went and walked in hiked trails, and we went and did things together. It doesn't have to limit you. And so I think that you can find things for yourself that make you happy, and in turn, you're going to be a happier person for whoever you end up with.
Because you're not holding back.
Yeah, you're just being yourself. And I would be worried. I would be worried if I bumped into somebody, or I was I was like, I was on Tinder and I was, clicked on somebody and we met, and I say, so, hey, what do you do for fun? Oh, I just, I like, I like Bravo. I like Bravo,
Oh God.
Or
dude, you would be great. You'd be like, really, Bravo? How about? Do you like flipping out? I love flipping out.
I love flipping out.
Oh,
but I'm saying if somebody said to me, I just like to stay at home and watch TV. I don't like to go outside very much.
Right.
I would be like, okay, it was really nice to meet you. I'd be like, that's good. I mean, that's what you want to do. Good for you. But
right.
And trust me, I like watching TV too. But I also like being able to go out and do stuff, maybe ride bikes. What are your interests? Oh, I really love going to country music concerts. I fucking hate country music, but you know what? If you like doing it, I'll go to a country music. Who gives a shit? I mean, if you have things that you'd like to do, I'm down for that.
Yeah. It's kind of a tricky one because there are responsibilities. You need to be somewhat responsible, because I would love to have a motorcycle and kind of zip around a little bit and take off. But my children are 11 and 9. So I really feel like my kids are going to start hating me, if they don't already, by the time they're 17. Like the years of 17 to 26 are like a black hole for children, I think, because they're growing up and they've hit their teenage years, and mom and dad are stupid. They don't know anything, and I know everything. That type of mentality,
Let me tell you this. I think the key to that kind of stuff is that your kids see you as consistently always being there for them. Okay? They know that part. So in the back of their pretty pubescent, starting to mature ages, 13 through 21, right? Mm-hmm. Which isn't even a 10-year period, crazy enough. I think the idea of them in the back of their minds, even if they fucking hate your guts because that one time you took their, favorite bong away and shattered it and threw it in the garbage can. Sorry, that was me, not them.
Yeah.
In the back of their minds, my dad was always there for me. When I needed something, he did this for me. When I needed to do this, I did this for me. I don't think you're going to find that, Jesus, every time I turn around, Dad was off on his motorcycle somewhere without me. That's not true. Every time they come home from school, there's a parent there hooking up with them. Every time you come home from work, you're saying, hi, how you guys doing? What's going on? I honestly think that we get into a mode, or our society is in a mode right now, which leads to these, like, people call them, free range children, What's a fucking free range child? When you and I were a kid, we'd get on our fucking bikes and we'd be gone. Our parents would have no idea where we were.
Don't come back until the sun goes down.
My parents never said that to me, but they never knew where I was. Not that I was doing anything bad. I was out riding my bike. I was building jumps. I was, in the creek.
Tree houses,
in the creek, catching tadpoles, out in the woods hunting for mushrooms. Who knows what it was? But I wasn't being watched all the time. Yeah, and so again,
and you weren't at home playing video games because there were no video games.
Right. But I mean, I still knew in the back of my mind that my parents were there for the most part. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you and I as parents are much, much different than my parents as parents. My parents really were gone. And I struggle with those kind of feelings now towards my parents, because I even think to this day I really can't rely on them very much, because they really weren't there for me when I was a kid. Even through high school, they really weren't there. I kind of took care of myself. And so I still keep expecting these people to be responsible human beings and adults all the time. And it frustrates me when they're not, because they never were for me when I was a kid. And I know that even though I spend time down here at the studio with you, or you and I podcast, or you and I are fucking building something in your garage, I know that they know that night we're going to go home, we're going to have dinner together, we're going to hang out, we're going to talk, we might watch a movie. Sure. You know what I'm saying? It's normal kind of thing. So I think we give them freedom, and I think we sometimes stress ourselves out too much by the idea of, oh fuck, I'm going to spend too much time doing A, B, and C, and so my kids aren't going to fucking love me. Oh, that's ridiculous. You're there all the fucking time. Yeah. You're with them all the time. You're doing everything for them. And I think you keeping yourself happy and you keeping yourself centered by finding other things to do, hobbies, hence your dad, is going to be is a healthy thing. You talk about you just said a few days ago. Remember when I was talking to you about I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with my life on your off time?
Right.
You didn't have anything going on. Well, obviously we've fucking
We
jam
figured
packed
it
that
out, right?
We jam packed that time hardcore, but only because we're still learning and it's so new.
Sure.
Once it becomes secondhand and it's a piece of cake, then we're going to be able to sit back and go, oh my God, we're having so much fun doing this because we got it all figured out.
Right.
We'll probably have even more time with our families.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Did I tell you what Bubby said to me the other day? Did I tell you about her Wendy's experience?
No, you didn't.
Right?
Bubby and Wendy's experience together. Okay,
Yeah,
this will
makes you
be
kinda
different.
giggle.
Go for it.
Well, I was leaving her house the other day because I had let her borrow my miter box saw.
Okay.
I let her borrow it. I have full faith in my mother. She is one of those ladies that she's not afraid to try anything. I think that's where I get my thing where, oh, I don't know how to do it. I'm fucking learning right now. I'm not afraid of that stuff, and I think I get that from her. And anyway, so I needed to get the saw back from her. So I stopped by her house, and we sat and we talked for a while. I got the saw, I loaded that up, and I was getting ready to leave, and she said, "Oh, by the way, I should probably tell you." And that always,
that
always just makes you really anxious, right?
Well, they should understand that because they should know when we were kids. Hey, Dad, I have a question for you.
Hey, Dad,
What's that?
I gotta tell you something.
Was that really your favorite knife? Because I cut rocks with it, and it's not sharp anymore. And
Well, she said, yeah, right. She said, hey, if there's a woman here at the house when you stop by.
oh my God, is Bubby gay?
No.
Oh shoot.
If you stop by and there's a woman here that you don't know, don't get upset and don't call the cops. I said, what's this all about? She goes, well, I went to Wendy's the other day. And this woman who was there looked really sad. And so I said to her, hi, how are you? And she said, not very well. My husband's beating the shit out of me. Yada, yada, yada. And my mom instantly, without blinking an eye, she goes, here's the address to my home. I have room for you.
Good for her. She's a sweet lady.
Yeah. She said that to me, and I looked at her, and she was waiting for my response. How am I going to respond to this? And I said, Mom, you are an adult, and I'm not going to tell you to be careful. I'm not going to tell you to be safe, because you know these things. You are an adult. You know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
How can I tell you not to do something that you want to do? You're a fucking adult.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to be cautious.
I get scared, though. It worries me right away.
Sure.
But that's the cynical part of me, though.
Absolutely. And then I said, and she said, thank you. Thank you for not judging me, right away. And thank you for not telling me what I should do.
I would
and what
only
I should
judge
not
her
do.
in a positive way, for sure.
Yeah. And then I said, how can I tell you to do something or not do something? How could I tell you not to help somebody who is going through something that you dealt with for 35 years?
Sure.
And she almost started crying. She goes, I just want to say thanks for not yelling at me and telling me I shouldn't do it. And aren't you're crazy? And
Did your sister do that to her?
I don't know who did that to her. Somebody
did.
Somebody did that to her. And I think so often in life anymore, you don't see people for people. You see people as opportunities. Like, what can I get from you?
Well, and that's what we're thinking about this woman, unfortunately.
No,
is she trying to really seriously get help, or is she?
I actually wasn't thinking about that from the lady. I was actually thinking that of whoever said that to my mom.
Oh, whoever said. Oh, gotcha.
Like, hey, don't ruin the thing that I have going on right now. Don't take any chances, because that could ruin what I get from you.
Right.
Don't mess up my routine.
Mm-hmm.
That type of thing. That type of thing, I wish people would look at situations and realize that is a person. I'm a person. That's a person. They're being hurt, or they're somehow
Something's
their
going
life
wrong.
sucks.
Yeah.
And can I help? And I love the idea that my mom just said, "Here's my address. Boom. There you go.
Right.
Stay with me. I'm giving you an out."
And so this lady has stayed with her or hasn't stayed with her, do you know? Or
Well, when I was there, she goes, "Well, I'm really surprised that so-and-so's not here right now. I'll have to check on her." So I don't know. I don't know if she has been there, or if she's coming back.
You know what's funny is, God bless your mom. I think she's wonderful anyways. But this last 2 weeks ago, I'm with my family and we're driving down the street. And
You can click over to you, buddy.
And I am I'm driving. I'm in a not totally familiar area in another city. So I'm kind of focused on what I'm doing. And my wife goes, and like covers her mouth.
Yeah.
And looks and is looking out the window. And I'm like, what's up? Are you okay? And she goes, "Did you see that man?" And I go, no, I didn't see him. I'm driving. I look in my rearview mirror and I can see a man, probably a block away at that point.
Right.
And she goes, I think that he like messed his pants. I think that like there was like diarrhea and shit all over it down his front of his pants, like he in his pants. And I'm like, that's fucking disgusting. What do you want me to do? She goes, maybe he needs help. Maybe he needs some help. And I go, what are we going to do to help a person who shit their pants? If they're walking down if they're just walking down the street and they shit their pants, what can we do to help him? Well, maybe he's disorientated. Maybe he doesn't know where he is and all these things, right? And one of my kids trying, "Dad, oh my God, you have got to go back. Turn around and go back." I'm like, we are not turning this car around to go back and see if some guy shit his pants. I'm sorry, you guys, we're not going back. The house we were going to is only a couple blocks away anyway, so we pull in. And she goes, "You don't think we should go back?" I'm like, if you want to go back, go back. I don't want to go back. I don't see the benefit of it.
You want to go back by yourself without your husband? Fine.
Right.
Go.
Oh, I'm sure one of my one child would have gone with her. And so he was seriously upset. Like, why didn't you go back? And I'm like, but I just don't know what we could do to help somebody who shit their pants. I don't get it. I don't know what we could do to help them. If he had fall down and hurt his leg, or maybe that's horrible of me to think that a physical disability is somehow different than a mental disability. But so what happens is the person's house.
There is a difference because the physical disability, somebody broke their leg. I know how to help. I know how to remedy that. I know how to fix that. I'm going to get you to a hospital right now. But mental disability?
I could probably help with the mental disability, but I just wasn't sure how I could do that.
No, you can't.
So what do they do? I get in the house of the people's house we were going to.
Yeah.
And they all are like, "We're going back." And I'm like, "All right, see you later. I already cracked a beer. I'm on vacation. See ya." And so my wife and the lady.
So loving.
Yeah, I'm a wonderful example and a good model for my children. So they went back and they couldn't find him, But and so then she was like, "Well, maybe it was like paint or something." And I'm like, "You're in the medical field. If you drive by and you look at somebody and you think, I think that person shit their pants, I'm going to trust you more than the average person because you probably was what you thought it was."
Maybe you've seen somebody who has shat their pants.
Yeah,
before.
I don't even know about that part. But
I'm just saying in the medical field,
she was pretty convinced.
Yeah, unless you're an expert at judging shit in your pants. The medical field, I don't know if that's going to really help you very much.
And I'm just keeping an eye on it. And the reason why I brought that story up and I associate with what happened with Bubby was my first thought wasn't, "God damn it, Bubby, what are you doing?" It was, what kind of opportunity is this lady taking advantage of Bubby for? That was my first thought. Is she going to take advantage of Bubby? And I don't want somebody to take advantage of her. That doesn't make me feel comfortable at all.
Yeah.
Who is she? It wasn't, "Oh, you're too nice. Oh, you're too, you're not considering the bad things that could happen." I wasn't thinking that at all. It's kind of like going, well, I just don't want somebody to take advantage of you,
For sure. For sure you don't want anybody to take advantage of.
But you don't want somebody to stop being thoughtful and caring. That's a pretty wonderful thing in the world we live in these days.
Yeah. All right. So we got to close this up, Todd. Is that all right?
We're at 58 minutes and 25 seconds.
All right.
And I only know that because I'm right fucking in front of the TV screen.
Todd doesn't like the current setup because he can't see me.
It's not fun having a conversation like this. This is a very awkward conversation.
Hey, the weird part is sometimes I'm staring at Todd's head like this. And sometimes I'm staring right at the camera, right?
I feel better if you stare at the camera because then I think you're looking right at me.
I'm right at you, buddy.
Eye to eye.
So anyway, that's it for us for the Primal Scream. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Premier Financial. Thank you to RevolutionRealtyTeam.com. You can see more of their commercials after this when we say goodbye, and I advise you to check them out because they really are a helpful business. Both of them are. Todd.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell people how to follow us?
Go to tpspproductions.com.
Hey, why don't you flip on over to where the camera or the computer is, and I'll walk them through this. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Here, let's go to TPSP Productions. All right.
There it is.
Here it comes, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Here we go.
All right, tpspproductions.com. And if you scroll down a little bit, there's Revolution Realty. Very nice. And Primal. And there's Matt Westbury for Premier Financial. Love it.
Premier Investments.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And there is the Primal Stream Podcast. There's his lovely raised eyebrow looking me deep in the eyes, telling me how much he wants me, and I can't stand it.
Oh, Jesus.
And there's the tabs we wanted to see. If you click on podcasts, you can see all the podcasts that we have available for you to see. Go to Facebook. You can follow us on there, like us, all that good stuff. We'd appreciate it. iTunes and Stitcher. That is the best way to listen to us. You can download our podcast on both of those units of musical listening.
Those two apps.
I think musical listening
is
flabberjabbers.
Yeah,
is
that's
better.
better. That's much better.
Follow us on Twitter. We're at Matt and Todd, just like you see at the bottom of my screen right there. And also YouTube. YouTube's a good one, and hopefully you'll start seeing a lot more channels for us on YouTube because we have a lot of good ones on there. So
absolutely.
Oh, and we didn't get a chance to talk to your time with Lisa Gillespie for your massage. That's going to be a good podcast because she took you to task, bitch.
She really did. She really did. So anyway, you can check out all those things. Don't forget the donations button. That helps us out a lot. It helps us with the overhead of the studio. And like I said, we hopefully, fingers crossed, everybody, that we're moving into another studio. And that's just going to be a little bit larger.
Which will be part of a wonderful partnership. So
it will be. And that sounds great to me.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, those donations help out with that stuff. And anything above and beyond our overhead costs, go to local charities.
Boom.
Because we're not greedy bitches.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Try not to be.
So that's it for the Primal Scream. I'm Matt.
I am Todd.
And we'll see you later.
Adios.
Good night.
Is your life savings wrapped up in your 403b? Are you worried you're paying too much in fees? Ask for Matt. Matt Westbury of Premier Investments can help with your 403b planning. Matt's a local guy who will sit down and talk with you about what you want from your retirement and give you simple answers you won't find on a confusing 403b website or at an 800 number. Go to askformatt.com. Securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated. Member FINRA, SIPC.